their dreams, their struggles, their difficulties, and what is the key to good navigation. As a good navigator, as a leader, you need, like I said, to predetermine a course of action. How do you do it? You need to plan ahead. And with planning ahead, I have an acronym for planning ahead as a leader. P means you predetermine the course of action that you need to do. You find that after doing performance appraisal, your people in the organization need some courses that need to be done. They need some development courses to be done. You predetermine a course of action. Then after that, L stands for laying out the goals. How do you lay out the goals? Who is going to go for the workshops first? Who is going to go for the courses first? Then you adjust now the priorities. You start to prioritize as a leader. And I have learned as a leader to use the Pareto principle of 20 and 80%. I'll talk about that one later. And then you notify the key personnel that so-and-so, after doing this performance appraisal, I have seen that this course might help you. So I'm going to, if you agree with me, I'm going to send you for a course. It's an in-service course. You do it whilst you are at work. Then you allow the time. A stands for allowing the time for acceptance. Sometimes you might have a vision which some of the followers do not know the type of vision that you have. So you have to be very careful when you are talking to the followers. Then H stands for heading into action. Plan ahead, head into action. And E stands for expecting problems. Sometimes there might be some problems that you might face as a leader, but you should expect those problems. And as a change manager, as a change leadership, you plan and take a course of action. And then A stands for always pointing to the success. We always motivate our followers. We always motivate the people whom we work with. And then D stands for daily renewing your plan. So this is how you navigate as a leader. You need to plan ahead. And then now coming on to change management. As President Thomas Woodrow Wilson, the 28th President of America, said, I quote, if you want to make enemies, try to change something. I hope I will not make enemies tonight after making my speech. And by the way, fear of change is called, it is a very complicated word. It's called metathesiophobia. And there are so many of us who are suffering from metathesiophobia. And what is it? Why do we suffer from it? Why do we let it push us in prison or in cages? So why do we fear change? Fear of change, sometimes it paralyzes the organizations. And so why do we allow it in our lives? We must know that without change, like I said in the beginning, there is no growth. And anything without growth is bound to die. So really, do you want to die because we do not want to embrace change? Some people stay in unfulfilling relationships. Some people stay in unfulfilling jobs. Some people stay in jobs that are toxic, that have got the toxic environment because of the fear of change or the fear of being labeled jobless. And some people are dying right now because of the fear of being vaccinated or being tested. What if Abraham Lincoln had been afraid of effecting change? Would slavery have been emancipated in America? So we need not to fear change. And as a manager of an organization, you need to stabilize the ship. Your ship, you are the captain of the ship. So we need to stabilize that organization. And with change management, And change management is the most critical skill that leaders should have, and we should know how to lead and manage through those turbulent times, through those unexpected changes. Fear of change or metathesiophobia can break or can make an organization. Let's think of during the pandemic, when the pandemic COVID-19 struck, so many organizations were found unwanted. They didn't expect that this was going to happen. Some organizations up to now, they never opened up because of the changes that took place. But for some visionary leaders, some leaders who were able to move forward, their organizations have even grown much better because of the COVID-19, because they were able to see opportunities that took place. I think with the SWOT analysis, they looked at their strengths, their weaknesses, their opportunities, and they were able to navigate and move forward. So, a change leadership should be able to effectively manage through major events in an organization. There are so many things that happen in an organization. Sometimes there are measures that take place. Sometimes some subordinates or some workers are laid off. And sometimes that organization is acquired by someone. So as a leader, you should be able to manage effectively through that change. Right now, I know that with the economy in Zimbabwe, some of the banks have closed. And because of COVID, some people now could work from home. They didn't need offices. So now some organizations have gone digitally and they've laid off some workers. So as a visionary leader, what do you do for those people who are moving on with you, for those people who are dropping off your ship? You should be able to see their needs, to cater for their needs. And as a senior manager yourself, you are the one who sets an organizational tone. It should be a positive tone. The environment should be positive. And how do you manage change? Because sometimes with this change demoralizes workers. Sometimes it even affects our customers. Sometimes it leaves the companies out of business. So we should be able to manage change, be a visionary leader who is able to manage change. I think I'm going to end here today. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity just to share with you briefly what I had.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. You made a very thoughtful and impactful points here. Really appreciate it. Now, I would like to introduce today's speaker. He's a renowned younger personality in education field. He's a scientist, professor, global educator, counselor, published author, and international speaker. Yes, he's Dr. Pratik Mungekar. Welcome, sir. Before going to start this session, I would like to tell about himself. He is the first youngest Indian to receive 300 plus honorary doctorate from all over India. He is the first youngest Indian professor who taught to more than 8,000 plus students and career guidance for 4,000 students. He is the first Indian to be appointed as the Planetary Minister of Sustainable Development of newly emerging the Kingdom of Atlantis. He is the first youngest Indian professor to start teaching at the age of 16. The age of 27, he has completed 12 years of teaching. Mr. Pratik is the first youngest Indian to receive Mendeleev's Fellowship, United Kingdom's highest academic honor, and this list goes on. So now I would request Dr. Pratik to start today's session.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ms. Dipali, for your kind introduction. So once again, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, we're all present here. I'll start. My dear Patricia has already explained the leadership concept very, I can say, deeply. So I would start with factors of leadership. Okay, can you share my PPT? Hello. Should I send my PPT to Ravi sir? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Can someone share my PPT? Technical team or someone. Okay, I'll explain. So I would like to throw some light on factors of leadership. Okay, now in factors of leadership, first factor is leader. So the leader must have an honest understanding of who he is and what he knows and what he can do. Also note that it is the followers, not the leader or someone else, who determines if the leader is successful. So if they do not trust or lack confidence in their leader, then they will be uninspired. No, to be successful, the leader must convince his followers that he is worthy of being followed. So this is the first factor of leadership, which is leader. Now, second factor is followers, obviously. So different people require different styles of leadership. For example, a new hire requires more supervision than an experienced employee. So a person who lacks motivation requires a different approach than one with a high degree of motivation. So the leader must therefore So a leader, must therefore know his people. So the fundamental starting point is having a good understanding of human nature, such as needs, emotions, and motivation. So the leader must know his employees and their attributes. So this is the second factor. Third factor is, after I explain factors and characteristics, I'll tell you, so then we can share my PPT. Okay, so this is the second factor. Third factor is very important, which is communication. So the leader leads through two-way communication. He has to set the example and excommunicate to them that he would not ask them to perform anything that he would not be willing to do. So what and how the leader communicates either, I can say, builds or harms the relationship between the leader and his employees. So this is one of the most important factor of leadership, which is communication. Then comes situation. Okay, so the fourth factor is situation. So all situations are different. What one does in the situation will not always work in another. So the leader must use his judgment to decide the best course of action and the leadership styles needed for each situation. For example, the leader may need to confront an employee for inappropriate behavior. But if the confrontation is too late or too early, too harsh or too weak, then the results may prove ineffective. Also, note that the situation normally has a greater effect on a leader's action than his or her traits. So this is because while traits may have an impressive stability over a period of time, and they have little consistency across situations. So this is why a number of leadership scholars think the process theory of leadership is a more accurate than the trait theory of leadership. So various forces will affect these four factors: leader, followers, communication, and situations. So, so example of these forces are the leader's relationship with his seniors, the skill of his followers, the informal leaders within his organization, and how his organization is organized. So this is about the factors of leadership. Now, next, I would like to explain the characteristics of leadership. Okay, so leadership characteristics are an interesting topic because some people wonder if they possess these characteristics without completely understanding what they might be. So in other words, we have people trying to figure out if they are leaders, but they do not really understand what defines a leader. So let us take a close look at some of the characteristics of a leader. So first is interpersonal skills. So the first leadership characteristic is the interpersonal skills. So leaders that have earned the trust and respect of their followers can use this trust to move the organization towards the achievements of its goals. So these leaders are able to use their interpersonal skills to work through difficult relationships and keep the peace in their department. So these individuals are good at listening as well as providing constructive feedback. So this is about interpersonal skills. Next characteristic is communication skills. So leader demonstrating communication skills are both good speakers and listeners. Through their words, they can help keep the workforce motivated and committed. So they also listen to their followers and ask questions when they want to make sure they have a good understanding of what is being expressed. So this is about communication skills. Next characteristic is values. So leaders must also value the diversity of workforce and understand that a diverse group of employees will bring a broader perspective to the organization. And they will treat followers with the respect they deserve and do not display favoritism. So they operate with a high level of ethics, which becomes an example for others to follow. So this is about values. Next characteristic is organizational consciousness. So leadership characteristics sometimes go beyond personal traits and touch on areas such as organizational consciousness or knowledge. So these are leaders that understand what the organization wants to achieve and know how it can be accomplished. So they create networks within the organization to help their groups get work done and are just as adept at breaking down organizational barriers to progress. Now, next characteristic is confidence. Okay, so leaders need to carry themselves with confidence and should not be afraid to take ownership for both popular and unpopular decisions. So they must be able to learn from criticisms and be often acutely aware of their own shortcomings. So confident leaders are able to maintain a calm, demeanor even during emergencies, and this can be contagious when it needs to be. So this is about confidence. Next characteristic is flexibility. Another important characteristic of leaders is their ability to remain flexible and adapt their leadership style to meet the demands of the current work environment. And they must be able to work with others to meet organizational goals and shift focus as necessary. So flexibility is one of the important characteristics of leadership or any leader. Next is creativity skills. So leaders demonstrating creativity skills are able to develop innovative solutions to old problems. So the diversity they build in their organization helps them to develop more comprehensive answers to routine questions. And creative leaders are able to translate technical information into solutions that are understood by everyone. Okay, and last characteristic is achieving results. So leaders just do not set the example for others to follow. They also play a big role in achieving the goals of the organization, institute, whatever. So through their leadership skills, they maintain a high level of performance in their organization, and they're able to help keep their workforce motivated even when faced with a seemingly impossible situation. So since they have a deep understanding of what an organization needs to accomplish, they are able to quickly identify and solve the important objectives of an organization. So leadership is much more complex than merely earning a high status position in a company, and the ability to order people to do things. So it is a participative journey that the leader must be willing to walk with others, and it is a skill that's acquired over a lifetime. And all these characteristics are something we can practice about every day of our life. And a great leader is one who learns from his mistakes. So that is about the factors and characteristics of a leadership. Now, I would like to move on the change management. For this, I need a PPT. So, can someone is sharing the PPT? Okay, thank you so much. Can you make it full screen? First slide. Okay, thank you so much, Ipali ma'am. Okay, so leadership and change management. Next slide, please. So discussion on change management and leadership. Now, see the change management. Now I will explain the change management concept from the industry perspective or industry background. Okay, so change management and leadership are fundamental building blocks of any project. Okay, so projects can from time to time be problematic and require changes to be made in terms of scope, direction, delivery, and strategy. So for any change to be successful, it requires strong leadership and leadership that will influence and inspire the project team. So both successful change management and strong leadership are fundamentally important to being a successful project manager and having the project delivered on time, within cost, and to the correct standard. So this is the basic idea of the whole presentation. Okay, now next slide, please. Okay, so change management. What is change management? So change management is a process that supports required changes in organization's direction, approach, or strategy. Another definition of change management is what is a structured approach to moving an organization from the current state to the desired future state. So these are the definitions of change management. Next slide, please. Okay, so to implement organization change, there are many models that can be used, such as Cotters, Levines, and Connolls. Okay, so if you want to read about these models, okay, these models are available on Google or internet. You can search it. You will get plenty of information about these famous models. Okay, now, although change management models are more generally used for organizational change, the process of change is fundamentally important to project managers and projects in terms of individual change. So most project managers will follow standard methodologies for success. However, there are various forms of change required in projects due to risks, variation, and failure. Next slide, please. So change management. So there are considerations must be given that change can impact scope, goals and objective, specification, resources, time, cost and quality, schedule and plans, issues and risk, and market needs. So these are the considerations. must be given so that impactful change can be happened. Next slide, please. So these considerations are to mention a few. Every project will have varying levels of change requirements, and it is vital that these are managed correctly in order to achieve success. So unexpected changes and change requests will happen during a project life cycle. So with the livelihood of inflation during the execution stage, so it is important that these are well managed with a level of change control. A robust change control process will ensure that all changes are monitored, considered, and approved, with only approved changes being implemented. So if the changes are approved, it allows for a systematic approach for implementation, and it helps understand what impact the change will have on the project scope, deliverable, organizations, documents, specifications, time, cost, quality, to mention a few. So next slide, please. Next is, so this is about change management. Okay, from the industry perspective or from the project, perspective. Now, leadership, as I discussed the factors and characteristics, now leadership can be approached in many different ways, and there are various styles of leadership that can be used. So leadership is about inspiring people with a vision and strategy, ensuring people feel empowered, inspired, and enriched by the leadership shown. So leadership is the ability to establish vision and direction, to influence and align others towards a common purpose, and to empower and inspire people to achieve success. Next slide, please. So strong leadership is required to ensure successful goals are achieved in any organization, company, program, institute, or project. So without strong leadership, an organization's goals and objectives will not be met, or nor will the employees be motivated to achieve these goals and objectives. So good leadership increases team motivation, loyalty, and commitment to complete the end goal. It is a very powerful if applied correctly, and ensures the building blocks of behavior to promote personal growth and development of individuals in an organization, program, or project. Next slide of leadership. So leadership will also help, here I'm explaining the importance of leadership. Okay, so leadership will also help define the culture, help guide and shape an organization's direction, and will also create harmony. So this achieved by key individuals showing excellent leadership skills, which is important for any organization, company, program, or project. So good leadership inspires the team to actively own and solve problems, a key attribute to any good team. So a leader, manager, or project manager cannot go it alone, as they require a strong team of individuals around them to support the common goal. One of the best example is our IDYM. We have a strong leader and we have a strong team, and that's why we are going great. So this is the very good quality that a leader cannot go it alone, as we all require a strong team of individuals around us to support the common goal. So our common goal is igniting minds of people. So strong and stable leadership ensures that this has the best chance of success. Next slide, please. Okay, so a good leadership will also ensure compelling communication is present, which is essential, as I discussed earlier also. This is one of the factor or characteristic to ensure team interaction is effective. So it also ensures that information and ideas are communicated effectively to achieve the desired goal. And in short, compelling communication is a key attribute of any good leader and is a building block to ensure success. Next slide, please. Now, relevance. Now, this I have explained what is change management and the leadership. Now, the relevance to project managers. Okay, so now the change management and leadership are fundamentally important to project managers, as they are two key components that are required to ensure a project is successful. So change management and leadership are leading drivers in the success of any project. So all good projects managers will have the ability to manage change in projects effectively and display positive leadership behavior to inspire the project team to attain success. Next slide, please. So what is change relevance? So change will ultimately happen in a project, be at the start or the end. Change will happen at some point. It is absolutely paramount that project managers can manage change effective and efficiently. So this is usually done in the form of a change management log or process. So all project managers need to manage change and require the skills to ensure effective change management. Whether it is a change in a strategy or specification, the change and process must be given the correct consideration from both the project project manager and the project team. So the project manager must ensure that the change is managed effectively to ensure successful completion of the project in terms of time, cost, and quality. Next slide, please. Okay, now the leadership relevance. Okay, first I explained change, now leadership. So leadership is a key to inspiring people with strategy and vision and to ensure that they are kept motivated. So project managers, leaders must be good leaders in order to ensure momentum is kept in achieving the project goals and objectives. So good leadership will ensure that the project team is kept aligned with vision, strategy, and goal of the project. So another consideration is that project teams are usually set up in a matrix organization structure. So thus, the project manager does not have any direct reports, but uses other line managers' resources. So good leadership in this respect is key for any project manager to ensure that individuals are kept motivated and inspired to continue giving full support to the project. So in all organizations, it is easy for line managers to overload employees. And if they are part of a side project team, this is usually the first commitment to fall. So a good project manager will recognize this and exert good leadership qualities with the employees and line managers, the staff, to ensure progress is maintained on the project and the individuals are not overworked or stressed, and thus maintaining their motivation for the project. Next slide, please. Now, finally, the conclusions. So the change management and leadership are a fundamental part of project management and industry and are a key to ensuring a successful delivery of any project. So if any of these two elements are weak, then the probability of a project project can be anything, not achieving its goals and objectives are high. So in order perform at the highest level, project managers must maintain and display a high commitment to change processes and exert strong and stable leadership within the project team. So this will ensure that motivation is kept high within the project team and that project team members feel empowered to deliver a project on time, within budget, and to the highest quality. And lastly, I would like to conclude with, these are my 7, I can say quotes, which I concluded in my book, also, which is on leadership and change management. So I would like to read those quotes and then I'll end with my talk or lecture. So leadership is the total ideal of the followers. So this is the first very important, characteristic. Then second, leader is shown regard. Third is leader and the followers influence each other. Next is leader's order is a command. Fifth number characteristic is leader controls the other member of the group. Leader determines the group's conduct. And finally, leader is a respected and reward person. With this, I'll stop here. I stop here. And once again, thank you so much, IDYM, Dr. Ravi Shankar, and all the dignitaries who are present over here, listeners, educators, for patiently listening to me. And once again, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, sir, for the excellent presentation. Very appropriately said, strong and stable leadership ensures that this has the best chance of success. And now I would like to ask one question to Patricia, ma'am. What makes an effective leader in education? Patricia, ma'am, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. Hello. As to be an efficient leader, you should be the one who should possess the skills, like you should be able to communicate with the staff that you have. You should be able to collaborate, like working together as a team. And also that integrity that I told you, that a good leader should be the one who has integrity, who has leaders, followers who have faith in their leader. And you should be someone who is visionary, because in an educational setting, we have so many policies that need to be made. We have so many strategic activities that we need to put forward. For example, in the COVID situation, some schools lagged behind because they didn't have visionary leaders. But some leaders, as a leader, also you need to be proactive. Because in that era, we were reactive because COVID caught us unaware. So some leaders quickly introduced online learning. They trained their teachers, they trained their students, they also trained the parents before they started doing. So that was how some schools were successful more than others in their teaching during online lessons. So there are so many characteristics that a leader should have in the education system. It can also be applied to any organization. Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to add in dear Patricia's statement, I would like to add some qualities. Okay, so the making of a successful school leader, there are according to me, there are 6 points. Okay, they understand the importance of building community. Okay, second, they empower other teachers and cultivate leadership skills. Okay, third is they utilize data and resources. Fourth, they have a vision and a plan. Then fifth point, they create. They should create collaborative, inclusive learning and inclusive environment. And lastly, they are passionate about their work. So these are the good leadership qualities every educator, professor, whether it is a school teacher, professor, they should have to be successful, education leader, or you can say school leader.
Yes, sir. Now, we have one more great visionary leader in our webinar, Dr. P.K. Rajput, sir. Dr. P.K. Rajput, sir, would you like to say a few words?
Good evening. Thank you so much, Dipali ma'am. Thank you so much.
One question is for you. Why do we need a change management in an organization?
It is very important. So first of all, my good evening and fabulous share by Dr. Prateek and Ambassador Patricia. Fantastically, you have shared it. Now coming to the change management, because change management is the requirement for the future. right? And unless until we will not change it, we will not be able to progress because the world is changing. See, let me give you a very small example, which we say why we have changed the car earlier in India. I'm just talking about it. Earlier we have Ambassador. After that we have Maruti. Again, because we used to say, I'm talking about 1982 when the Maruti has come. The smaller the car, bigger the status. Right. And now the things have changed. Bigger the car, the bigger the status. See, this is the change which is required. The people are changing the entire scenario and all. And if you want to cope up for the future, and as a leader, we have to see not one step, not two steps, 3 steps ahead what is going to happen. And that is the reason we have to build the team, because we are in the professional environment. We have to build the team to make them foresee a change, because, and it is difficult, let me tell you. It is not very easy. Gradually, the change is required, because the way we say that the Rome was not built in a day. Same thing, the people mindset, because people feel very comfortable on the current system, right? And to change it, it requires the time. It requires a lot of counseling also, and it requires the vision also that how the thing is there. So I think I have given the answer of your question, and that's why we talk about a very, very important point, which we say the high performance leadership. Right. The high performance leadership is very simple. It is thinking global, but act as a local. I repeat it, think global, but act as a local. Because why? Globally, we have to manage the situation, and locally, whatever the opportunities and whatever the things which we have, which has to be taken care. The second is cross-cultural diversity. We have to ensure that what is the different type of the cross-cultural amenities are there with us. So how we can make the things happen. Third thing is, I like to add it here by taking the clue from Ambassador Patricia as well as Mungesh sir, that technological savvy. Because unless and until we will not be technic savvy, because today we see that technology is a god, data is a new oil, and the entire work is like a new machine. So unless and until we will not put that data of the oil to the technology, the machine is not going to run. Then another point is building alliances and partnership, because unless and until we will not build the alliances with a different way, networking is the net worth working, right? So there's a net worth. So we have to understand the thing that what are the things are happening. Then sharing leadership. Today, the thing has been changed. You have to become a servant leader, right? And that is the reason is going to help about the making the things happen. And the last but not the least is that having the learning agility, because you know that technology is making us change in every 2 years of time. 2 years. Why I'm talking about it here, either it is in the college or either in the professional world. Today, AI is coming up in a very bigger way. Today, artificial AR is coming, augmented reality is coming up, virtual reality is coming up, mixed reality is coming up. Things are getting changed. So we have to adopt that part, which is going to help us in various ways. But at the same time, a leader has to be empathizing the things. Good listening is there. Whatever Ambassador Patricia has said and Dr. Pratik has said, I fully agree, because these are the basic things are there which is required. So this is all from my side, Dr. Dipali ma'am.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Now, Imam ma'am. Imam ma'am, you want to say a few words?
Yes, hello.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
First of all, great thanks to our great speakers, Dr. G or Dr. Patrick. Really, they did great lectures. I'm so sorry, but just I entered my home, so I'm struggling with breath. I need to highlight one point regarding leadership in education. It's very important. The first speaker touched an important point, which is change phobia. So nothing will be changed because of some phobia. Carrying people, they are against any change, any progress, and so on. So there is a great difference between managers and the leaders. So we must differentiate between both of them. All leaders can be managers, but not all managers can be leaders. This is the important point. Also regarding leadership in education, as my colleague and brother, Prof. Dr. Rajboot, touched the important point, which is servant leadership. It's very important to highlight in our life servant leadership. It's highly required. Also, I need to highlight again and again the the difference between being manager or being leaders. So leaders must lead. Leaders must lead, but managers maybe lead or not. Not all managers are leaders, but all leaders can be managers. Thanks a lot. And really, post lectures are more than excellent. Great thanks for Dr. Patrick. We are proud by your efforts. We are proud by you. I'm very happy to see YOS as leaders. It's very important. So YOS must lead. Also, not only leaders must lead, YOS must lead. If they are qualified enough, if they are efficient enough, so they must lead. But some people have some phobia against any change, but change must be done. Without changing ourselves, we will disappear from the life at all. Thank you again and again. Appreciation to all speakers and attendees. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Most
Now,
welcome.
I would like to request to Uche ma'am to say a few words about the leadership and change management.
Okay, thank you. Dipali, I hope I pronounced it well.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you. Thank you. You know, for me, this topic requires something different. This topic is about leadership and change management. That is, the leader is the independent variable and change management is the dependent on leadership. That is, how do leaders bring about change, manage change in the organization? That's what it doesn't require us going through the concept of leadership again and what a leader should do. No, we are supposed to connect what a leader should do about managing change. That is the essence, in order to teach us all leaders how we should manage change. Now, let me start with saying that I teach this course in my university. I teach it to 400 level students. And I will start by saying that change is the only thing that is constant. Change is the only thing that is constant, and it affects every organization. But the management of change is something that eludes some organizations. Change management is more rampant in the business world. They take it more seriously. If you ask Rajput now in marketing, this is where they have a lot of change management, change in every aspect. They change even in personnel. If you're not performing, you are changed. They change in products that come every time. They change even if you see some people rebrand their offices. That is change. Some people look at their strategies and then manage it. So it's more important for those in business. However, those of us in education somehow feel we don't need it. We need it. I'd like to answer your question first before I continue. Why do we need change in education? The educational leader, education needs change. The educational leader cannot lead because there are things happening under him or her as the leader. There are remedies he needs to make. There are deficiencies he needs to take charge of. There are a whole lot. There are even the global changes in internet, digitalization. He needs to be aware and not to be obsolete. He needs to have change, follow up change. That's the most important thing he should do as a leader. And that is why leader change management must be conscious of it. During the time of COVID, those leaders that don't have change in their dictionary were caught up. Those that had, for instance, schools were closed, And those that had it started schooling at home, educating children at home. That those that didn't have, their students were at home. There was nothing they could do. That changed, they couldn't manage it. And it's going to come again. And that's why leaders everywhere must talk about how they should adapt to change, how they should prepare for it. Otherwise, they will lose. That is why, and a leader that does not manage change or think that there is a change is as good as just not being there. It's laissez-faire. Is managing by abdication, because the world is moving. Right now, there are some leaders that don't even know what is happening in the change world. They can't even interact beyond making calls and sending messages. They can't use technology. They don't know what the next changes are. But those in business, Dr. PK will tell you that we went from physical marketing to digital marketing. A lot of people, for instance, don't go again to ShopRite or to similar shops physically. They market online. You have Gigi, you have Jumia, you have even the shop online. And these are things that the leader must take note of. And so because of it, they teach digital marketing. They must adapt to those changes. We also in ourselves, the education, we market our students when we train them well. And that is why we must be conscious of the changes. And any leader, you are there. You say, oh, you're doing a transformational, you're without any taking care of changes. You're a leader that does this or that. And you sit there and your students come out. They have nothing to offer their employers. They are even not employable. They are underemployable. They can't do anything with themselves because things have been changing. So leadership is important and they must change. Change management is very, very much dependent on the leader. That is why we're talking about this topic. How does change concern the leader? The leader is all. Leadership is all. And must bring about that change. And what do we mean by change management? Managing change simply is the process of guiding an organization, changes that occur in the organization to fruition, to come to fruition from the earliest stages, from the beginning. You must be able to note that there is need for change from the earliest stages of conception, and then preparing for it through preparation, and then through implementation. And finally, should be able to resolve the change processes, have a set of starting conditions, and having functional endpoints. He must take it through right from the word, and he must catch it early if he's a leader. If he's not a leader, he's not a leader. This one is no longer being effective or not effective. No, it's either you're a leader or not, because you must notice changes that occur. You will not even employ staff, teachers that are obsolete. You must be able to recruit those ones that can have that change when you need them. Now, if a leader is expected to be in charge of change management, there are certain elements that he must take charge of. He must evolve a few things to work. If he's a change management leader, he must have the vision. He must know the benefits of what he wants to do. He must, have sponsorship. Something must help him. Somebody must help him to make that change. Change doesn't just come on its own. You must need resources as well. You must also know that there are methodologies that you should apply in order to make that change. So you have this vision, this idea in your head if you're a change manager, a change leader. Now, there are certain steps that a leader must take in order to bring about change. You don't just change for the sake of changing. If you ask PK now, PK knows that no change comes just like that. There must be feasibility studies. There are stages, there are steps. So it is everywhere, even in education. In education, we are lacking a change management to manage change because our leaders are not yet aware that the stakeholders that they are managing need, both students and staff, they need to be brought up to date, to progress, to develop them. Even the goal of the institution will not be achieved, but the business sector knows that. So first step that a leader must do to bring about, to manage change, is to create a sense of urgency. If you see marketing, I keep taking Rajput's profession, they are just at times change their product and they are marketing it. They are urgency, as if there is anything different, even if it's not, they are not much different about it. They are going through it. You are hammering it to everybody. So, oh, this is important. We must do this. A leader must be able to do that, to be authentic, to carry people along. Otherwise, you're lackadaisical. Nobody will say, it's not, this thing is not serious. You must talk about the urgency. You must have the foresight. Then you must also put a team together in order to do that. But before you even put a team together, you must engage, you must determine how to overcome resistance. Once you notice that there is a need, expect that there will be resistance. Even among your staff, nobody likes change. People resist change. So how do you, how are you going to tackle this? Because if you don't, that change will go. Those people you're leading have no idea what is there. You know everything. You have the map, you have everything. So you must determine how to overcome the change. You must have set your goal. That's number one thing. You set your goal by creating the urgency. Oh, we have a need to do this. The goal is there. Please, let's do that. Then how do I, if I bring this new product, if I bring this, let me tell you one example. Even in our education system, I know in my university, there was a change that was to be brought, and professors like me resisted it, probably because the VC didn't do his homework. What is the thing? If don't submit hard paper questions, don't submit hard paper questions. Things have gone beyond that. Set your questions, put them on flash, go to the work study in the department, put your flash there and submit your question so that it limits the number of papers and it's more efficient. You come to Senate, they say, no, we can't do that. You can't do that because they don't know. They don't know how to do it. They resisted it. And up till now, it's not working. The heads of departments themselves don't know how to operate their computer to manage that work study office. So we are not using that. People still prepare their exams with paper and go and start distributing. So taking note that there will be resistance, you prepare their mind, the minds of your staff, to accept and explain to them why there is need to do. The advantages there, that even for them, they will realize. So, and if you do that, the next other thing is, after engaging them, then you offer management support. You, as a leader support. The leader needs to have some support for those changes. You have to, in various, if you must change, if there is need for computers, give them the computer. If there's need for money to travel, give it to them so that that change can be realized. So now you have it also to learn, contextualize your change to what is current, to new technologies at that particular point in time. Now we are going from 4G, we went from 3G to 4, I don't know where we started from 2G to 3G to 4G. Now 5G is being rolled out. And a lot of people, I can bet you, the marketers, Dr. PK, them are the ones that will lash on to. I hear them discuss that, telling you the advantages because they want the market. They want things to do. There's competition. But a lot of our institutions will not know about that. They don't even have the brand one, the broadband network. So you have to adapt that. And you have to invest in training, agility training, aggressive training of staff. Train them to what they need to know. Because if you don't train them, they can't carry out that change. They don't know what it is. So you must, as a leader, train them. And then strategize on how to bring about that change. Then you have to put a team together, because you as a leader cannot do it all. You delegate. There's a team. That team must have understood your goal. They must have understood the urgency. They must have understood where you're headed, the organization is headed to, the advantages. So they have passion for it. So you put them together to help in disseminating that information. Then you develop your strategies, your vision, which they also will be part of. Then the other thing that is important is you communicate. You must communicate to everybody. Find a way of communicating, and it's going to be constant because changes, they will resist it. You will start even early, months or even years before the change comes. And start, oh, we may do this, or we need to do this. That communication must be use everything you have to communicate. If it's an educational system, gather the students group by group, or level by level, or subject by subject. Then the teachers themselves, tell them, communicate, keep communicating. Everything, if you have a meeting, find a chance to hammer that change that you want to make, that will come. Oh, very soon we are going to do this and do the other one. The advantages are this, it will soon come. You'll notice that people are working on it. You let them know what is happening. Then, having communicated and in the process of doing so, know that there will be obstacles. Remove those obstacles that will make you not to realize that change. That's a good way of managing change. There are obstacles. If you're a leader and you don't know that there could be obstacles, obstacles could be anything. There could be anything ranging from finance, ranging from human beings, ranging from even infrastructure, facilities. Remove them, have them in place, make sure that they are in place. Then set short-term goals. You don't need to set long-term goals because you want to get the results immediately, and then keep the momentum of that short goal, what you have achieved. Keep it going, keep hammering it, and then make the change stick in the heads of the people. These are the things, the steps you must take. If you don't take these steps and you want to make a change in any institution, even in business, even in a country, you want to make the same changes. These are the things that you must have. And then we have the other changes also, the requirements that you must do apart from this. In addition to this, determine how the change will impact before you do that change. How will this change impact the organization? How will it impact the individuals there? You don't just want to make a change for the sake of change. Then you also assemble your change management team. Let them share with them what you think, and then share with them your strategies. Then implement your plan. When you implement your plan with your change team, you now have, after you've implemented it, because it's a short-term goal you want to achieve. At the end of that, you say, oh, we are doing the review. The more you must have to review, perform a post-change review and see what has been achieved, what went wrong, how do we change this, and probably take off from there. So now, in any of these types of steps for changing, you have different types of change in every organization. We don't have one type of change, and every leader knows how and what changes he wants to effect. You can have an organizational-wide change. You apply all this if it's organizational-wide change. That is, you want to change everything in this organization. You want to have a transformational change. Transformational change is just about strategy. You want to transform. If you want to transform, you must have a strategy. How do you get that change to occur? That is the transformation. There must be real quality strategies that you should adopt. Then you have personal, we call it personal changes. Personal changes is when a company or an institution experiences hyper growth or layoffs. You want to lay off a staff or a group of staffs. You must have a way of changing. You don't just say, oh, yeah, go, we don't need you. There are certain things that you must plan. There must be criteria And then you take cognizance of the fact that the staff might be touched. Find a way of doing it, even with laying the staff off with some gratuity, some money, start a business and things like that. Do it easily, gently, so that the staff won't go home and die. So you have also, apart from personal change, you have unplanned changes. The leader should take note that there are changes that could be unplanned. I mentioned, for instance, now, if I take my institution, for instance, and you see that there's flood there, we experience a lot of erosion, and then flood comes and then washes away things. And there's no plan, no leader plans for that. Even at governmental levels, you find flood all over the place. Pakistan is facing a lot of flood. California and other places in the US, northern part of Nigeria, lots of flood. They are unplanned. What does the leader do? Must note that he must have a change management, manage that change. It's unplanned. So you must always look forward to unplanned change. It's something that has to be immediate. Take it up. Don't go and relax. Oh, nothing is happening. No. If you take the COVID period, that COVID taught us a lot of things in the educational system. When the COVID came, nobody knew that there would be lockdown. Nobody knew that we won't go to school for some time. Nobody knew we won't, even food, scarcity and all that. The same thing with wartime. So a leader plans for it. Now we have learned that our children can be going to school, even if there's another disease. A lot of people now have gone to learn how to teach online. It's now the reigning thing. And people like me no longer like to teach face-to-face. I teach online. And then at times I blend it occasionally with face-to-face. So it's planning for the rainy day. That's what it means. So that is an unplanned change. You must be able to manage it as a leader. Then we have remedial change. Remedial change is when you have, you need to address deficiencies in your organization, poor organizational performance. Dr. Pike, I'm touching your area also, and we need that in the educational system. If the organization is performing well, or it's not marketing, or the product is not okay, stick to the product. Try, see how you can remedy it by going through some stages. In the educational system, we can have, like, if we want to address deficiencies, the school's children's performance, for instance, there must be a way we address it. Go to the root cause, treat it gradually, and then uproot it and get a change. Is it because they are not studying? Is it because there are no infrastructures? Is it because the books are not there? Do you want to involve parents? Come, please, your students are not doing well. How do you manage that deficiency? Is it even lack of funds to do what you want to do? So these five types of changes: organizational wide change, transformational change, personal change, unplanned change, and remedial change are very, very important. And all of them happen in an organization. Every organization, these 5 types happen, maybe at different times, maybe concurrently. We never know. So if I put all these things together, maybe I should summarize, because I am not a speaker, so I just have to end it here by saying that the various types of organizational changes will necessitate different actions. For each of these 5 types, different actions are taken. But in the long run, you must go through the stages, the steps that you can use. Otherwise, you will destroy a whole lot of things. And because we know that change is the only thing that is constant. Life is also change. We all change from childhood to and we manage it. As leaders in our families, we manage our children as they grow up, those changes. That is what we should do as leaders, to manage changes, management of change. And that is why we have, in some organizations, they have project managers. And they are managing projects because there are changes. And those project managers must foresee. Their main work must be to see changes that are coming, in order for their projects and programs to be marketable. So if in the educational system, you see, we need this kind of skills, there are certain skills that are needed. We don't have project managers, but a leader should be able to see, oh, the world needs skilled people now. Our graduates must be employable. They must be able to have the skills to be self-employed. So we change our curriculum. Many institutions have not looked far. That project manager, the project is the students. The qualification the students will have, the skill the students will, not because you need an A or first class or second class. No. What skill are you taking out? What projects is it that you are going to get into when you finish that? So you teach them how to acquire that as project managers, because our leaders in our institutions are also project managers. We are not in business. So that is all I have to for now. I don't want to go on and on, because this is the course I teach in my final years, because they'll soon leave. Thank you so much. Thank you, Depali. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable inputs on leadership and change management. Before concluding today's webinar, I would like to say about the leadership. Leadership is the ability to direct a group of people in realizing a common goal. This is done by people applying their leadership attributes. Leaders create commitment and enthusiasm among followers to achieve goals. So today, this is the time for vote of thanks. Thank you, Ravi sir and IDY team, for giving me this opportunity to become a moderator of today's session. Thank you, Dr. Prateek and Dr. Patricia ma'am, for enlightening a wonderful session. I also would like to express my gratitude to Ms. Uche ma'am, Dr. Prateek, Dr. P.K. Rajput sir, Imam sir, and Ravi sir to make this webinar an impactful session. So thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dipali ma'am. Thank you so much. Very well. And she is Dr. Iman. So we all
Sorry, Dr. Iman. So apologize.
No. It is not like every time we all do the mistake. So I'm just Iman. Right.
Yes.
N.
Yes.
Right.
Sorry, ma'am.
So and you know, she's an actual leader. Let me just put that in a humorous way. She always said that many people, they write me as an imam. So I am not he, I am she. She's a wonderful sister.
Yes.
Most welcome. I am very happy. Really, the discussion today is very fruitful. Thank you, Prof. Rajput. Thank you, Dubali ma'am.
Yes,
thank you, my sister, Prof. Ushi, and all respected speakers. Thank you very much. Really great lectures and great discussion also.
Very nice. Thank you, Uchi ma'am. Thank you, Patricia ma'am.
Namaskar. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Bye. Thank you, Prateek sir. Bye, sir. Good night, sir.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.